Welcome to Elements Design. Once again, we're going to do a new tutorial for you today. Once again, Elements Design works with a number of different type of jewelry product. Semi-precious stone, hand hammering, the wire and the precious wires and metals, as well as making polymer clay, which you see here in front of you. And I do polymer clay relief, so there'll be a lot of tutorials that I'll do in the future about different types of polymer works. And we're going to start off with things real simple though, and just learn how to get the concentric circle pattern today. You see the nice textiles on the dress here. Those are some different patterns we'll be working on in the future. Along with these, lots of different things you can do with polymer clay, and we're going to explore several of them. I'm so glad that you are here with us today. And also, we're going to ask you to subscribe to our channel so that you can keep up with what we're doing in the future. Okay, we're going to get started here. These are a number of different beads. My name is Aaron, and today I'm going to show you how to make the polymer clay cane. We're going to make the cane today, not beads, but we're going to use the most simple pattern, the concentric circle. And there's a few of these beads here that you see I have the concentric circle design in. These are the materials we're going to be starting off. This is clay that I've already kneaded. And if you need a tutorial on kneading clay, there's lots of those already online. I may do one myself in the future, just so people can see some different ways to get their clay kneaded down. And also, I'm going to start off rolling this material out. I like to start off with my lightest colors. I'm just flashing back a little bit. We're also going to do a hand rolling technique video also, because it's really important to get the right roll. We're going to start off with the lightest colors here. In this case, we can go from lighter to darker colors so that the final ring that we put on to the clay will be the darkest ring. Okay, so let's just start off making a basic hot dog shape, and you can see the comparison to the razor blade that we have. We're going to go ahead and cut that in half. You might want to watch the next few images to get a clear idea on what we're going to do before you get started. And just take one of those halves, and we're going to roll out a bit longer. It's amazing how much clay you need, or how little clay you need, to kind of roll out a long strand of it. Begin to roll your clay out, and I'm going to do a video separately, like I said, on exactly how to roll that clay out. But it does include kind of rolling your hands forward and backward. And as the clay gets longer and begins to stretch and begins to lengthen out, we begin to see a new form shape in place. But we want to keep it even all the way across. So the rolling technique, usually I roll my clay forward, I'll spread my fingers across simultaneously, and then when I roll the clay back, I'll kind of bring my fingers back together. But we need a video for that one, so we're going to do that separately. You're going to end up with a long, thin roll, something like this. I have my old trusty razor blade out to show you kind of in comparison how tall, right, the roll is and how long it's going to be. And amazingly, these techniques I'm going to show you is really simple, but it's going to take practice and practice and practice to figure out exactly how much material you want to use, how thick you want your rings on your concentric circles, okay? So we're going to go ahead and cut this in half. All right, we're going to be using both sides of this. Let's go into our next color, a little darker color. I think this is, the first color was like tan. This is going to be like a, first color was champagne. So this is going to be like a light brown, some kind of tan color. And my colors are a little bit off on some of my photos and kind of weird. I got some bad pictures, but here's a pretty natural looking color. We're going to need that. It's about a half a pack of Fimo. Cut that on in half. We're going to flash back just a little bit. I'm going to reduce the lengths of one of the initial tan colors that I cut out, and because I want to make it a little bit thicker, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So we're going to make that a little thicker, and that's a technique in itself. We kind of like, there's one way to roll out, but then there's another technique on actually rolling clay in to make it thinner, or thicker in this case, like we see the one in the front. We'll go through that at a different time, a separate video. But here's a kind of comparison. You can kind of see the one in the back is small. They started off the same size. The tan in the front and back started off at the same size. Then we kind of shrunk up the one in the front. And this is what we have here. Okay? And that's our new ball of clay. Alright. And here we are. We're going to go ahead and start rolling that darker color out. Getting ready to flatten that out. We're going to break out the rolling pin. Okay? and start to flatten the piece out. And once again, this is going to take a lot of practice. You have to do this a few times to see exactly how thin you like your clay in your concentric zone pattern. How thick do you want it to be? How thick do you want particular colors to be? Okay, so we're going to just kind of do a basic idea here. We're going to keep on rolling it till we get it nice and flattened out. And we can see here, we're going to take that piece that's flattened out. It doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle. The thickness on the clay is going to depend on, you know, what your final design is going to look like. And once again, this is going to take practice, practice, practice. But essentially, let's call the tan roll in the center a hot dog, and this darker roll a bun. And we're going to take that hot dog and wrap it up in the bun. And it's going to be a nice even wrap. That's going to be our goal, and we're going to wrap that several times. That's going to make our concentric zones. So we didn't have to start off with a rectangle exactly as far as the flattened out part, the darker piece, but we're going to make it into a rectangle just by lining it up, using the razor blade to gauge the size. And this is a perfect example in the photograph to see exactly how to go about doing that. Right, a little closer up. All right, we want to get a rectangular shape in the long run, so we end up with something like this right here. Okay, we're going to do that on both sides. Cut off the other side, and you see where we're going here. We end up with this kind of a shape. Let's go ahead and move our tan piece, which is, you know, nice and small. We're going to move that back. These pictures look big, but we're working with a real small space here, as you'll see in a couple of images coming up. Okay, we're going to take that roller to the back so that we can begin to roll it. I'm going to use the razor blade to lift up my base. It's going to be a little easy for me. I happen to be working on a mirror here, on a large mirror. I like to work on a glass surface. It works good for me. We're going to roll that on up slowly, still rolling it over to look like that. Rolling it over a little bit more. You see we're going to have a little bit of excess on the end that we are going to cut off. And I like to do somewhat of an angular cut. You can see here what's going on that cut. Just getting rid of the excess, trimming the fat. All right, I still have a little extra that I want to cut off because it's still kind of overlapping. So we want to take the rest of it off like this. Right, we're going to take it off just a sliver more. You can see here. All right, and now here's a little space, and we're going to have to simply just push that together with our fingertips. It's a really small space. You can kind of see how we're going to work it together. Just give it a little pinch more, and the seams come together. Now, like I said, as huge as that photo looked, because it was very close up, look how small of a piece that we're working with. It's only like 3 of my fingers wide, 2.5 fingers wide. But we're going to build up on that depending upon how many beads you want to make, what your final design is going to look like, and how much clay you want is going to determine how big a piece like this is going to be at the very beginning. I don't plan on cutting a whole stock of beads, so I don't need it to be too big. You know, here's another little angle there. And that's what we're looking like. All right, little hot dog and clothes with a bun wrapped around it. Everything is enclosed, and we're going to do that a few more times. That's going to get us our concentric circle. Okay, let's take our next color. I'm going to use gold. We're going to cut that in half. To the left is the gold new, and to the right is the original hot dog we just made. All right, give you a sense of what size we're dealing with. Although you're going to have to figure out your favorite sizes once again through practice, practice, practice. Plenty of practice. I cannot even imagine how many times I've made this design and it comes out a little different each time. This new gold color that we're going to use here, we're going to roll that out into a hot dog shape. You see, it's getting kind of big. We're going to flatten that out. Continue to flatten it. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing because we're going to wrap our hot dog within a new bun. And here's another good look for comparison. And we can see, you know, it's going to look good to roll it from the top to the bottom. Like when you're rolling your pen out, you want to roll from left to right and top to bottom. That gives you a nice, smooth, and even texture, you know, on your flattened surface. Right? Let's roll it on up. Let's put that original piece inside. We're going to roll that up just like we did before. All right. I noticed that when I put my hot dog within a hot dog on top, it wasn't enough room or space there, so we're going to stretch our gold out a little bit more. Let's give it a little stretch. right? A little pull. You can't pull it too fast, and it's good to kind of use the pen as a flattener as you pull, so you can kind of pull and stretch at the same time, and your clay will not break on you, you know, as long as it's kneaded and nice and warm. All right, so we're gonna roll slow and stretch slow. Okay, we're gonna move on ahead to get this wrapped up. Man, we've done this before. We've been at this position before. We wrap it up. We cut off the excess. Bam. All right. Now we have a little excess again. We're going to go ahead and cut it off like we did the last time. Here's a nice close-up. All right, we can see the colors all wrapped up, starting to make the concentric circles. We're going to roll it down, all three colors, nice and clean. Right? We got a little bit of an overhang right here, but let's go ahead and just cut that off. And bam. Okay, so to the left, now we have our three-color concentric circle. All right, we're going to move on with a darker color. All right, let's move on with the darker brown. And our pattern is coming together, slowly but surely. Very simple pattern too, but you can use it a lot of different ways. Let's go ahead and start rolling out that brown like we did with the other colors. Get it into a hot dog shape. Flatten it out. All right. We're going to see all three colors that we've made wrapped up in this piece. Pull it on up with the razor blade off the mirror just to get it from sticking. All right. You don't have to use an old razor blade like I'm using this. One I've had sitting around for like a year or so. It just seems to never get thrown away. All right. Go ahead and give that a little stretch and a pull. We want to get it elongated like we did with the gold. Nice and smooth so we can fit our three-colored pattern in there, concentric pattern in right now. I'm stretching this out to make it a little thinner. I made this a little pattern a few times before, so I know that I want the last color or the darker brown color to be a little more flattened. All right, I'm going to cut off that tip to prepare for my next row. Here it is right here. All right, we're going to take our triple layered hot dog and we'll wrap it up in brown. Wrap it up. Cut off the edges like before. Okay. We're going to have to go back and pinch the edges like we did the last time. Roll it out again. Smooth it out. And here's a picture to show some perspective of what we have. See the size of the razor blade to the left and the roll. So the roll isn't really too much longer than a razor blade or too much taller. You know. Let's roll it out just a little bit thinner here. And as we roll it out thinner, of course, it gets longer. So we see that if we stood that razor blade right up, right, it's not that much taller than the roll is. So we're talking about a thin piece here. But we're going to take that, cut it in half. All right. Actually, we're going to cut it about in thirds. But we'll cut 1/3 out and leave 2/3 the same. So that one piece is twice as long as the other. Okay, and there's our concentric circles. Not a great photo, but we'll get to a better image in a minute. You'll be able to see what's going on. See, there are different sizes. One side is about twice as long as the other. So one side is a little snub, thick piece. All right, we're going to take the longer part, the longest piece, and we're going to roll that out some more. Let's roll it out. Okay, you can see how much longer it is here. Right? Line the two rows up together, the small and the large next to each other. Then cut the thinner roll to the size of the larger roll. Right? Take the longer, thinner end that is left over and continue to roll that out a little bit more. We're going to roll it out, make it a little thinner. We're going to do this process a few times and you see where we're going. So you see the original roll at the top and the back. The second roll is a little bit smaller and the third roll is a little smaller than that. And we still yet have plenty of clay left, right? But you see where we're going. All the way to the right-hand side is the big one we started off with. And at the bottom left is the next size, and then the next size up. And you can really see where we're going here because all I'm doing is rolling out the excess that I have from the longer roll, thinner and thinner and thinner, right? That's all I'm doing. Here it is right here. And believe it or not, we're getting all of this clay from that one piece as we roll it out thinner. So I can do this several times, right? We really get a good idea. You know, lots of stretching. And we're going to take a look at this side view, and it's starting to finally come alive. Here we can see exactly how it looks as these pieces get smaller and smaller and how they come together. And let's go ahead and start rolling all of this together now. You know, like we rolled the hot dogs earlier today, mending all of our seams and pulling it all together, right? And for all general purposes, we're going to give it a little cut right here, off with the tip. And here's the inside. Give the cut in the center. And here are the two halves, okay? You can see the pattern there. And of course, this can be done with any colors that you like. You know, concentric blues, reds, purples, pinks, whatever color combination that you want. And this is just the cane. I've been doing more tutorials on the actual bead making, but this is about how it works, and this is just one way. I'm going to do another pattern with a swirl pattern, and I'm going to show you how to combine the swirl and the spiral together to make really unique designs in canes. Please like us on Facebook at Elements Design. Subscribe, like, you know, make it your favorite. Subscribe to us, like our page, do all that good stuff. I got a lot of great things coming. Elements Design. Thanks, YouTube. Talk to you soon. See you soon. And look out for our next design. A lot of things I do post on Facebook before they get to YouTube, so you definitely want to like me there. And we got a lot of great things coming up. Thanks a lot.